This video is a movie analysis about 12 Years a Slave for the Minor. The movie is based on a novel with the same name, and the novel was a true story. Solomon Northup was a freeborn African American from New York. He was the son of the freed slave and a freed woman of color. He was an American abolitionist and the primary author of the 12 Years a Slave. This movie is made by the company Plan B, which was owned by American actor Brad Pitt. The adapter of the movie is John Radley, and the director of the movie is called Stephen McQueen, which is a very famous black director in the world, and he won an Academy Award for this movie. A lot of famous actors has joined the movie. The British actor Chiwetel Ejiofor plays as the main character Solomon Northup in the movie. Another British actor, Benedict Cumberbatch, which is very famous at the moment, he plays as the Master William Ford, which is the first master of Solomon Northup. The German actor Michael Fassbender plays as the second master of Solomon Northup, which is called Nigger Breaker. The Mexican actress Lupita plays as a female slave in the movie, which was tortured a lot. The American actor Brad Pitt acts as a Canadian worker, which shows at the very end of the movie. The story. Solomon Northup is a free man in New York, and he's a violin musician in the movie. He has a good family. One day, two white guys came to him and invited him friendly to a show in Washington and promised him they will pay him with a very good price, and the show is going to be very short. Solomon Northup went to the show, and the show goes very good, of course. After the show they had a dinner together, and Solomon Northup was drunk. When he woke up, he was not him. He was tortured, and he was told he's not a musician, he's a slave, again and again. One of the slaves has been saved by his own master, but he didn't tell the story to his master about Solomon Northup. He just left. Solomon Northup and other black slaves were shipped to a slave market, and they were traded like the goods in the market. They have to dance, they have to speak, they have to show their talents in order to be picked up. In the trade market, Solomon Northup met his first master, William Ford, which looks like with a big heart. On the estate and the property of William Ford, Solomon Northup, as a worker, worked very well, and he helped his owner a lot. Solomon helped the master with a lot of things and got and win the trust from the master. However, he also win the jealous from those white guys. Master William Ford tries to educate all his slaves with Christian religion. However, he didn't let him go. It is quite interesting and ridiculous. Because of the debt, Master William has to sell Solomon Northup to another master. But he didn't let him go. That means, no matter he's a good guy or not, in his heart, slave is slave. Slave is different from normal people. The second master nigger breaker is very strict to all his slaves. The master nigger breaker is very strict to all his slaves, and he tortured them a lot, and he raped a black girl. The black girl felt very sad, and he asked Solomon to kill her. However, Solomon couldn't do it. One day, a white slave came to the estate, and he worked very bad. However, he didn't get the same treat as other black slaves. The master Anning said something to him to ask him to work better, but the white slave didn't get tortured. Solomon Northup thought the new slave, the white guy, could help him to send a letter to his hometown to let him go. So Solomon gave all his money to the guy and asked him to send a letter. However, the guy cheated him. The guy told all the story to the master. Luckily, the master didn't believe the words of that white guy because that guy was an alcoholic. Finally, at the end of the movie, Solomon met another white guy. He's a Canadian worker, which is called Boss, and he helped him to send a letter to his hometown, and he got saved. At the time when Solomon left, the black girl watched his back, and she had hope that Solomon could save her. When Solomon came back to his family after 12 years, his family has changed totally different. He became a fighter for slavery, and he wrote down that novel. He wrote down his experience. Now I would like to talk about my own feelings. After watching this movie, firstly I felt very bad and sad for the experience that Solomon has suffered in 12 years. And it is quite a surprise to me that the slavery in US in history is that black. However, there's another point that I feel. At that time, the old black people were not so integrated to fight together as a unit. They only fight for themselves. That could be a reason why slavery went so good at that time. In the history of my country, China, well, the slavery has been abolished a long time ago, and it has been instead replaced of another kind of thing which is called servants. And maybe China is a quite close country in the past, and we don't have slaves, we have servants. We can buy them, but we have to treat them well. So those kind of tortured things happened very little in my country history. Therefore, I feel very surprised about this, and I feel very sad about them. And now I'd like to talk something about the themes, values, and opinions of the movie that the director wants to express. From my own perspective, the first theme in the movie is slavery in history of USA. In US history, after the independent war with Great Britain, the slavery was considered as a legal law in US, and the north part states has a very big difference from the south part states. In the south part, because of development of cotton industry, the south states connects very closely with the slavery. In 19th century, the population of the whole slaves in US was very high, near 4 million people. The director expresses the slavery theme from a special visual of Solomon Northup, and it's like my moral that Solomon Northup expresses his own story. The second theme, moral costs. The moral costs is the second theme that the director wants to express. There are many scenarios showed in the movie. From the two white guys who kidnapped Solomon to Washington D.C. till the first master Solomon met who wants to educate all his slaves with Christian religion. All this kind of moral costs is happened in human history, and only because of the cost of the moral, the human could go further. The last theme is hope. In the movie, Solomon Northup never loses his hope to survive. He tries to catch every opportunity to escape, to send a letter out, to build up relationships, to show his talents in order to survive. And this is not only about Solomon Northup. At that time, all slaves didn't lose their hopes. They need to survive, and because of that hope, they can survive at very last. The historical context. Slavery in the United States was the legal institution of chattel slavery that existed in the United States of America in 18th and 19th centuries, after it gained independence and before the end of the American Civil War. Slavery had been practiced in British North America from early colonial days, and was re-recognized in 13 colonies at the time of Declaration of Independence in 1776. When the United States Constitution was ratified, free persons of color were among its voting citizens in 5 of 13 states. Historically, the status of slave had become associated with African descent, contributing to a system and legacy in which race played an influential role. In fact, after the Revolutionary War, abolitionist laws and sentiments gradually spread in the northern states of America. As most of these states had a higher proportion of free labor, they abolished slavery by the end of 18th century. But the rapid expansion of the cotton industry from 19th century led to southern states to depend on slavery as integral to their economy. They attempted to extend it as an institution into the new western territories. When Abraham Lincoln won the 1860 election on the platform of no new slave states, the South finally broke away to form the Confederacy. The first 6 states to quit held the most number of slaves. This marked the start of the Civil War, which caused a huge disruption of the slave economy, with many slaves either escaping or being liberated by the Union armies. The war effectively ended slavery even before the 13th Amendment. Today in US. In today's US society, of course, there's no slavery anymore. Black people got treated the same, and even the President Obama is a black people. Black people got talents everywhere. They were not like in the past. They are from musicians to support athletes to actors like Michael Jackson, Kobe Bryant, and Will Smith. Well, there are still some problems, like racism. In today's society, racism and discrimination still exist. For me, that every race is equal and every people is the same. Every race is unique and every race is equal. Every people got its own talents. There's no superior, there's no bad race. As human beings, just end racism.